All right, so it is 10 a.m. So let's get this thing started. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chanel Jackson, and I am the Marketing Communications Coordinator for the Peterborough and Kawarthas Home Builders Association. Try saying that 5 times fast. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who came out today, and just letting you guys know that the session is being recorded. So if you miss anything or you want to refer back to something later on, it'll be on our YouTube channel later today. I have put our YouTube channel in the chat along with the websites of our marketing panelists in case you guys want to connect afterwards. All right, so today we'll be discussing this subject of marketing, more specifically marketing in a post-COVID world, social media marketing, ads, and challenges facing the industry. Thank you to Sofie, Matt, and Phillip for being a part of our marketing panelists today. Sofie, if you wanted to introduce yourself, and then Matt, and then Phillip.
Hi, I'm Sofie Andreou. Very nice to meet you all. And I run my own digital firm in Peterborough. I've been here for quite a while. Half the time I spend training businesses on how to do their own digital marketing, their own social media. The other half of the time I do social media for companies like Knock on Wood, Chesler's Shoes, and a number of them. And then the other, I guess that's not half, that's a third, and a third. Yeah, I actually have corporate clients that are national, like Esso. I've had them for now 10 years, and some others that I do these kind of things for them on a monthly basis to all of their members. So thank you for having me. Delighted to be here.
All right, Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt Geraghty. I'm the owner of Matty Digital, also the owner of Starting Point Digital Marketing, the owner of Thrive Co-working Community in downtown Lindsay, and the co-host of the Kawarthas Small Business Podcast. I like to call myself a buzzword-free, common sense digital marketer, helping businesses grow online with custom, strategic online marketing with everything from ads, email, search engines, social media, and design.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. All right, Phillip.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Phillip Jolicoeur. I'm the marketing guy. I've been in the marketing communications, public relations world for about 20 years now. I'm multifaceted. So I do traditional advertising, marketing, social digital advertising. My idea of marketing and advertising is anything that's best for your company. I'm going to help it grow. If it's from referring you to a network to helping you with digital advertising to helping you buy radio ads. I'm here to help grow businesses, and that's essentially my biggest goal is helping you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. So we're going to begin this webinar with preset questions, but if any of you have questions during the webinar, feel free to drop it in the chat because we're going to have a Q&A at the end. And also Sofie has a prize for the person who asked the most questions. So get your questions.
Woohoo.
All right. So the first question that we have is, how has marketing changed over the past couple of years due to COVID-19? We'll have Matt start this one.
Thank you. This is my first panel, so thanks for throwing me right into the fire. Yeah. I think marketing has changed the most in the last couple of years since COVID. Similar to how I think business in general has kind of changed since COVID, in a sense of everyone needs convenience. Everyone's purchasing things based on convenience. We had everything kind of stripped away. We couldn't go into brick and mortar. We couldn't go into retail. We couldn't go do stuff. So we turned to whatever way possible to sort of make ends meet when it came to how to actually get the products that we needed. So I think things have changed so much, again, from a convenience perspective. So like we want people to come and buy from us because we tell them that we're the best and shop local and all this kind of stuff. But people don't buy from us because we tell them we're the best and we tell them to shop local. People buy from us because we have a solution to someone's problem. So the biggest thing that we have to do is making sure that we're expressing that to people and making sure that it's convenient for them to come buy from us. This is why people are still turning to Amazon and all these other places, because it's not always convenient to get to a store at certain hours, whether they're open or closed or something like that. And then to pull all this back into marketing, maybe that was marketing, maybe that's just overall business in general. But from a marketing perspective, the convenience side of things is making sure people can see you and know that you exist and getting on as many different channels as humanly possible. So like Phillip or Phil, I don't know if I can call you Phil if we're friendly enough.
It
yet.
works.
Like Phil said, like he does a little bit of everything, traditional, digital. They don't ever need to fight each other. They're all there to help each other kind of grow. And we don't know if people are going to see a billboard and create that awareness. We don't know if people are going to see social media posts and build that awareness. We don't know if they're going to search for us on Google. We just need to be on as many different channels as possible to create that convenience for people.
For sure. All right, Phillip, you're up.
Well, it's changed drastically. And remember that big word that we all used through COVID, pivot? We're going to pivot here and we're going to pivot there. And our consumers did it and our customers did it. And every business had to pivot. And almost every step of the way, we have a lockdown. Now we're pivoting. We have now we're back and open up for business. We're pivoting. Oh, we have patios open, but nothing else is open. So we had to pivot again. It's a word that I didn't think I was going to use again until today when I was thinking about that question. Marketing has changed drastically because not only are relationships before super important, now they're essential. If you didn't have that relationship with your consumers before, it's critical that you have that relationship now, and you need to make face. So forever, just like today, we see each other digitally and on Zoom, and it's hard to make that personal connection. So any chance that we had to, these Zoom calls were great because they got very popular during COVID. So if your marketing strategy was networking, Zoom was an essential part of, that networking piece. And now that we're allowed to see each other, we almost kind of want to throw Zoom out the window. So again, we're pivoting again to get ourselves away from the screen and actually shaking hands and handing out business cards again. The other way it changed that I feel is marketing was kind of like when people started having problems with finances because of COVID, one of the first things that were ever cut was their marketing budget. So I feel that now we have receptionists doing your marketing, and companies had to pivot that way and have people in-house run your marketing rather than being able to hire professionals in-house. I also found that the marketing through COVID was a bonus for me because, and I'm sure for Matty and Sofie as well, because businesses couldn't hire a full-time marketing person in-house. So now they're subbing that work out, and it's great because now we're able to help them out and be the professionals in that sense.
All right, Sofie.
Biggest thing I've seen that has changed since COVID is authenticity. Businesses who have done well and continue to do well through COVID and since COVID are those that put themselves out there, where the business owners or their staff have gotten comfortable with taking the cell phone and capturing a moment with a client and putting it out there, or taking a cell phone and having a tip of the day, or getting there. So it's authenticity, where it's the real human creating some content. So I do training, and all through COVID, as Phillip said, we thrived because we were training businesses on how to survive in this new world where they couldn't see face to face their clients. Everything went online, so they had to figure out how to be much more convenient, like Matt said, so that they were able to answer questions online. But it was them answering the questions, or it was the receptionist all of a sudden who used to answer the phone is now answering the comments on Facebook. They are now answering messages through Google listings, which was not something they did. Usually they had us do that as the techie person. Can you answer those comments? Yeah, I know nothing about your business. So now what's happening is you have people in the business who normally were your receptionists having to understand how to answer questions on social media. So they're looking responsive and it's authentic. So those are the two things that I think have changed the most since COVID is one, putting themselves out there, understanding how to use the cell phone, to understand how to capture a short video that is going to let people know, hey, here's some behind the scenes shots. This is the renovation we're about to start. Guess what? People love behind the scenes shots, and they love to hear from you. And then if you are able to get a client who actually doesn't mind being on, the camera with you, hey, I loved working working with this person because we're now at this stage and we haven't stepped on a nail through this whole home renovation or whatever it is that you're doing with your client. They love that. And so you think of, what do I want to be known for? How do I authentically put it out there with my own cell phone? That's the biggest change. The second part being the biggest change, that when someone asks a question about your company, they want someone to get back to them through social media. That was not a thing before COVID. They were going to call you. Now they're looking at any of your points of presence online, including social media, including your Google listing, are ways that they're hoping for a real answer. And that's how they're going to research you. So there are many more things, but those two are the biggest. I think authentic videos from the business owner and staff that include your clients, and understanding the importance of getting back through, messaging and comments on social media.
All right. So on to our second question. What is the current biggest challenge facing the marketing industry today? And we will have Sofie start.
This was the hardest question. This was the hardest one. I don't want to. So the thing I find the hardest is I have a number of clients that I post for, and it's reminding them to send me photos or videos, just like I said. So there are others that I pop in and I do the photos and videos for them, and they're shy. It's like, oh my goodness, if you can't talk about your own product, who can? So I guess that's the biggest, is being someone out there that wants to tell your best story and knows that your target audience is online, and we have you in front of your target audience. They want to hear from you. Getting your content for marketers is the hardest thing. I think I can create a flyer for you, make it look gorgeous, but what's going to do even better is when I have you talking about it. So I guess that's consistently with what's changed the most. It's also my biggest challenge.
Yeah, sure. All right. We're going to have Phillip next.
I have to agree with Sofie. Getting that content from my clients is hard. So it's always kind of a sell for me when I'm going to a client, and if I'm running a social campaign, is let's put that video and photo right into the package. I usually put it at a special price if they're getting, a monthly package. So I have the content sitting there, and then it's always fresh, because
Nice.
the client is very hard. It's very hard to get a client to send you a daily picture. That's why they're not doing it. That's why they're hiring someone to do it. And they think that they can, the marketer can just do it all the time. And I find that challenge with TikTok too, because clients want to do TikTok, but TikToks are now in the now. Clients are needing to do that in the now. I would say my biggest challenge, or the biggest challenge in marketing, again, is just circling back to that pivot, because you need to constantly be changing. What's working best today? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? Is it your Google? Is it your website? Because people seem to forget about websites these days. And I think they're the most critical, because as we've seen with some certain politicians and such, TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, it can be taken away in a heartbeat. And then your social presence is gone. And then what do you have left? So if you're a restaurant and your restaurant page gets hacked, it's gone. So the digital presence, I think having control of your own website is super important. Another challenge I find right now with marketing is that everybody is looking for employees right now. And are people marketing that? Are they putting a face? Are they showing that you are a great place to work? Rather than just marketing your products all the time, you need to market that your business is a fantastic place to work. You got smiles on employees' faces. You're showing the bosses, they seem like nice people on their social presence. So it's just getting the clients to adapt. And again, it circles back to that receptionist doing things. They're not adapting. They're hired to do a certain job, but now they're doing the marketing, sitting at the desk going, well, what should I be doing to change? And that's where pros like Sofie and Matty and myself come in handy, and we can point them in the right direction, or hopefully do it for them.
All right, Matt.
I'll try to put my own spin on some similar themes and topics we've already mentioned. My belief is pretty similar with what Phil and Sofie have said. I think the biggest challenge for the members right now is two things, one of which is the first thing I talked about being how important it is convenience and making sure that it's easy for people to interact with you and reach out to you. It's easy for them to find you. That also is really difficult because there's so many different ways people can now interact and find you. You're dealing with Google, ads, maps, SEO, getting found on Google down below. You're talking about Facebook ads. You're talking about organic posts, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all these different platforms. You have to have a website. You have to have all this stuff up to date. That's a real challenge for people. It's a challenge for the members. They're struggling, like trying to find employees. They're trying to struggle to get their own work done. They don't have the time to do this stuff. And they need to be able to still get out there and build that awareness and tell people they know that all exists.
All right. On to our third question. What advice about marketing would you give to a new business or to a business who has not had success with their marketing? Phillip, we'll have you start.
I would say my best advice would be get out there, meet people, meet your businesses, meet your neighbors, meet everybody that's doing the same thing and facing the same struggles as you. My number one marketing tool, even as a marketer, is networking. Go to chamber events, find networking events that you can go and meet like-minded people, entrepreneurs. I've met so many fantastic people that have helped grow my own business, and I've been able to pass that on to others. Also try new things. So like couture candy, they went viral on TikTok, and now their online business. She's shipping candy all over the world, which is fantastic. If you're not stepping out of your comfort zone and trying new things and adapting with the times, you're really going to have a struggle. If you're doing the same thing every single day, it's the definition of insanity. If you're just posting, I'll throw real estate agents under the bus for this one. If you're just posting a listing every single day and you're not showing the personality of who you are and what you're doing, that gets boring to watch, and you're not going to get that engagement. If you're posting a picture of your dog and you're showing that you're just a normal person, just like everybody else, and you're running around with your dog once in a while, you're going to see results and you're going to see engagement, which was going to bring you back to that listing that you posted 3 days ago, hopefully. So the biggest challenges my best advice would be just adapt with the times, meet like-minded people, ask questions. What are you doing? How is this working for you? Is Instagram still working for your business? Is Twitter still working for your business? Is Facebook, TikTok? What are you doing that's making it? And just stay consistent, and don't be afraid to try new things. It's social media, right? In theory, it's free. So, take 5 minutes to adapt with the times and just post something a little different each day, and just try changes, and change is good sometimes.
All right, Matt, you're up.
My advice about marketing to a new business, or like a business that has not had success with marketing, is don't hack it. Don't try to hack it. I don't think that your receptionist is equipped to do your marketing. I don't think that your salesperson is equipped to do marketing. They're experts at what they do. I think that you need to find expert marketers and people that know how to do marketing. We're talking to the Home Builders Association. I know how to use a hammer. That doesn't mean I know how to build a home. I would never try to do that on my own. I don't even want to frame something. I'm not good at these things. I'm always a bit embarrassed to admit that I've started having someone cut my lawn so I can free up my time business-wise and with my family, because I just don't bring value to cutting my lawn. So I would challenge someone that says, like, I've not had success with my marketing, because I would wonder who's doing the marketing. How are they doing it? Do they have a plan? Do they have a strategy? If it's your friend's nephew that knows how to use Instagram, that doesn't mean they know how to actually market and promote your business.
All right, Sofie.
Well, this question is huge. There's so many aspects to it. So if it's a new business or somebody that hasn't had success, I put them through this 9-step strategy process that I have, that starts with kind of like what Phil said in a way, but I call it a digital audit, where you take a step back and you see what's going on that works and doesn't work today for you. And I ask them to choose 3 of their favorite competitors in a similar market as themselves. and we look to see what works and doesn't work. And it's a big aha because they see what kind of posts are working, what's not. So I love that step, and I can train them to do that themselves, or I can facilitate for them to do it. I have a blog I can share with you guys so they can see how to do it. But that's one of the big things. So they can, and that helps them then choose a few products or services they want to be known for. And my fiance right now, not right now, he's my fiance. I'm not changing fiancés often. My fiance, my fiance is a contractor, SRS home improvements, and he's out of Bob Cajun, but we're just moving to Peterborough, which is, anyways, long story. So in that, I asked him, so what do you want to be known for? And he wanted to be known for 3 things. I thought, that's interesting. You don't have any of those on your Google listing. So when people are searching for you, why would you come up? Why do you think you'd come up? So the first thing we did was we looked at other competitors that were like him and what they thought, and how they came up. And then we said, what's unique about you? Well, he's been in business for 35 years and he's got long-term clients. Guess what? He's got no photography, no pictures to show the before and after, none. So the big thing is to take a step back and see what does your digital footprint look like? So you want to, what are the 4 things you want to be, or 3 things you want to be known for? Go to Google, search for them. Do you come up? Okay, who does come up? What are they doing? So that's kind of part of my digital audit that we do. And then we say, what I like them to do is to claim or start posting to their Google listing. It's free. And what I mean by that is once a month, even one of those 3 things they want to be known for, post about it. Makes a huge difference just posting about that on your Google listing. It's as simple as that. Google, whoa, okay, the lights in here just went off. I guess that's kind of a cool look. So I'm in anyways. So then the other thing I'd want them to do is the post on their Google listing. And I completely lost my train of thought, and which is kind of cool. Oh yes, your Google listing will also give you a free website. So you're not going to do e-commerce on it, but for home builders, if you just want to be found, which is a big thing. If you want to be found online, take advantage of your Google listing, post to it once a week, once a month minimum, so once a week if you can, once a month minimum, and create the free website that they give you to so that you're found on Google. It's a very easy thing to do. You could hire any of us to help you do that for you, to make sure your Google listing is working properly. And then on that Google listing right now, if someone goes to it and they go to Ed's Google listing, for example, they just click on send a message and he gets it right to his cell phone, which is awesome. So you connect Google right to your back pocket, and you answer questions. There's something on your Google listing that allows you to ask a question and answer it. So you know how you can say, hey Google, who does renovations, who installs windows in the area? So if you want to be known for that, you want to put the question, do you install windows, on your Google listing? And then the answer, hey, I install windows. Maybe not the hey part. We install windows, because Google looks at that when it's answering those questions. So there's a few things I would help somebody do if they're just starting out and they're really struggling, and it would be around their Google listing. But first it would be around look to see what others are doing, and then go to your Google listing and let's pump that up.
All right, on to our next question. What would you say are the best tactics to improve social media reach? And Matt, we'll have you start.
I didn't want to go first on this one again. I could go first on the last 2. This one, I'm going to open the floor very much to Phil and Sofie after. But so the first thing that comes to mind about improving reach on social media to me is hashtags. I think people will often laugh at hashtags, thanks to maybe Jimmy Fallon, or just how we've kind of, I think in some ways, ruined hashtags. We've kind of made them a punchline and we utilize them for things that are irrelevant. But there's a great way to utilize hashtags with Instagram, specifically Facebook. When you have them, you will see that reach improve dramatically versus not. Instagram offers up to 30 that you can use in a post. There's different opinion on this. I always like to joke that if you ask 100 marketers, they're going to give you 100 different opinions about 100 different things. My opinion on this is that I use all 30. We've been given the opportunity to use all 30. We are marketers trying to grow that awareness. I'm going to maximize those capabilities. I try to focus more on relevant keywords for the business. So in my case, it'd be like hashtag marketing, hashtag digital marketing, hashtag SEO, etc. And then I would sprinkle in a little bit more location-based hashtags specifically that are more core to like the geography that we're trying to target. That turned out okay, considering I didn't want to answer that. So, yeah.
All right, Sofie.
Okay, thank you. So to help extend reach, what I do with my clients on a monthly basis, I review what happened last month. So, what was the best and worst of our posts, like what worked and what didn't work. And we learn from that. And what happens consistently is when we post something that is authentic, like the human talking, or a picture of them with their clients, and we tag appropriately. So say they are posting in an area and we're on Facebook. And on Facebook, hashtags aren't something that we use on Facebook. We would use those on Instagram, obviously, but on Facebook, we look to see, okay, what we're posting about. We just happen to have been part of the Habitat for Humanity, perhaps. One of the home builders here, maybe they volunteer at Habitat for Humanity and say they did a picture of it and they put it out there. Awesome. But they didn't tag Habitat for Humanity. Boo. So what you want to do is put that picture out there, tag Habitat for Humanity, because they will now share it. So that's extending your reach. That's a very simple example, but every post that I plan, so once a month, I look to see what worked and did not work. And then I look forward for the next month with them. And I say, okay, what are our opportunities to make you, like Phil said, be a human this month? Do you have something that you're doing for the Humane Society with your dog, or do you have Habitat for Humanity? Because I would like to have at least 1 or 2 human things a week in there. Plus, and so in those cases, I'm going to tag the community that, group that they're helping, right? And I might even tag you guys, the Home Builders Association, because you guys care that your members are that kind of person, that kind of group. So you might share it. And then if there are people in the photo that they know, we're going to tag them as well. So now that's going to help with reach. What we then do is for those ones that are tips, say you have, once a week, you decide I'm going to just do a tip on something that really worked well with my clients last month. As a home builder, you're going to put that out there as a tip. Again, you might decide that there's somebody in town that you tag. Even maybe the business, the homeowner that you did this tip with, this renovation riff, if they gave you approval, you tag them. Well, guess what? They're going to share it with all their friends. And their friends are probably at the same income level and in the same group that they might want your services as well. Because 80% of people are going to trust somebody who has done work with you over your message. So if somebody who has done work with you shares it and comments, that's where your reach is really going to grow, not just the reach of the social media posts, but also in growing your business. And that's what it's all about.
All right, Phillip.
I would say the number one thing that I like to encourage my clients and what I do for my clients is communication and engagement with your followers. It's not just about posting on a daily basis and hope people are coming and running to you, because it's not going to happen. We're not Coca-Cola, we're not McDonald's, we are the backbone of Peterborough, and we are the local business here. And what's going to happen is if you're going through and you like somebody's post or comment on somebody's post, one person minimum from that business is going to get a notification on their phone or computer saying that the PK, Peterborough Kawarthas Chamber, or anybody just liked or commented on it. So now you just got yourself in front of at least one person. In some companies, there's 2 or 3 people that get those notifications. So now you're getting in 2 or 3 people that you commented, and then hopefully they engage back. I think engagement with other people is the number one thing. It's not about your followers. It's not about having 6,000 followers and only following 400 people. It's not a popularity contest. It is a business. So if you are communicating and engaging with your community, they're going to do the same back. It's a giver's gain mentality. I know there's a question down the line too about paid ads, but Facebook and Instagram, they've made it almost impossible for your 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 followers to see your stuff unless you're paying money for it. Is it expensive? It's not very expensive. You can get in front of people for a very minimal spend on Facebook or Instagram. LinkedIn is a little different. It's a little bit more expensive, and depending on who you're trying to communicate with and get in front of. But there's the hashtags again. Some people laugh at them, like Matt said, but they're a fantastic tool. You can follow hashtags on Instagram. And so if you hashtag Kawarthas, you can follow that. And now every time somebody uses that hashtag, it's going to show up in your feed, and you can engage with that person. You can follow that person. You can comment on their stuff. And same for your company. If you're using hashtag Kawarthas, if somebody's following that hashtag, they're going to see your company, even though that they're not following you yet. So hashtags are important. You can hide them into the comments. You can put them right into the bulk of your caption. Again, you know, there's a different opinion on which works best and how many you use works best. But you just got to use them. It is part of getting yourself into certain algorithms, which work fine. And I would also suggest, if it's a lot of non-Joe Rogan fans, but Joe Rogan recently did a big, long interview with Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg, obviously the founder of Facebook, went deep into how Facebook works and how his mind works and how his team works. And I found it very, very knowledge, like it brought a lot of knowledge to me on how you can get into certain things.
All right, thank you. So we added actually another question this morning, so sorry to throw this to you guys, but what is the most common question you get about marketing? And we're gonna get Sofie to start. You have a couple of seconds to think about it.
I guess I get, does it really work? And social media marketing, does it really work? And it does work because it's the subconscious. Social media is your subconscious, and it's where you decide if you trust someone or if you don't. And like I said, I've got, knock on wood, for example, as a client, and our target audience, there are women over 45 that have disposable income or that care about quality. And I think a lot of you on this call, that might be your target audience as well. And they're on Facebook more so. They're now starting to be on Instagram as well. And they want to see, and they want to comment and engage on certain types of posts. And so subconsciously they're saying, wow, this is a quality location. So does it work? Is the biggest question. And my answer in there is yes, it does. I know on knock on wood, for example, we stopped paper ads and radio ads years ago, and we're only doing social media ads when we do ads, and their business is prospering. So and I find that also with some of my other types of clients. So it's interesting. And I guess does it work? It's such a big question. Does it work? Because every business is so different. So I don't know. That was, 3 seconds to think about it. Phil, I'm getting out of this one fast.
All right.
Yeah, Mark. Oh, sorry. Did I hear my name? Was it passed on to me?
You're good.
Yeah. So marketing works. Every company has done it at one point or another, and then they go off of word of mouth or whatnot. Does it work is such a open question, because what marketing is going to work for your business is going to be different of what works for a different business. So old school radio like some people go, does radio advertising work? Yeah, it works. I worked in the industry for a while. Yeah, radio works for it works. It depends on who's listening to it. Is TV working? Yes, TV works, but who's watching it? Is it your audience? And is digital working? Yeah, digital works as well. Just because somebody doesn't like your post too, like if you're not getting, and I meant to say this in the last question, if somebody isn't posting or liking your post, it doesn't mean they didn't see it. There's impressions and there's a reach. And then when your ad is out there, somebody's seeing it. You can see that in your analytics. You can see that somebody is watching your ad. Somebody scrolled by it at one point or another. It's just like driving by a billboard on the road. People are seeing your ad, and it's about reputation. It's about where you're putting your ads, and how smart are your ads? Are they getting the engagement that you want? Maybe not necessarily, but they did see it. And the biggest way to test this out is post something and see how many of your family members actually liked your post, and then go to that family reunion or a wedding and go, "Oh, I saw that you got a new dog." And everybody in that wedding will say, "Hey, I saw that you got a new dog." And you only got 4 or 5 people that engaged with that post, but everybody saw it. And that's, to me, was the true test years ago. I posted something, and then when I finally got out there, everyone's like, "Oh, I saw you got this." And there was probably 100 people at this event that commented on my life moment that I had. And I was like, well, 5 of you guys engaged with this post, but everybody saw it. So it's the same as your business post. Not everybody is necessarily engaging with it, but being consistent and putting it in the right area: TV, radio, digital, Google, Facebook, Instagram.
Yep.
Find that audience and then put your ad there, and again, just change it up once in a while and see what's working best for you.
All right, and Matt.
I'll run with this theme. So I think that is a fair question. It's often like, is this going to work? Does marketing work? I always like to kind of define what I think marketing is, because like, it's going to work is very broad, right? I like to think that marketing is telling people that you exist. It's telling people who you are and what you sell. So we need to be able to do that. We need to build that awareness. We need to get in front of people that are actively looking. We need to, I hate the word disrupt, but like get in front of people with social posts and all those types of things. So it all depends. I will often get calls about, "Hey, I want to do social media." And years ago, I would have just been like, "Yeah, no worries. Money, please. Let's proceed. No questions asked." Now I feel as if I can call myself an expert. I'm an expert because I have plans and methodologies and processes and all those things. Now, a week ago, a mortgage broker called me and she was saying that she needed social media. And I literally just asked, like, why? And I started to boil it down, have a conversation with her about like what marketing is. And I didn't steer her. But to me, there are people actively looking for mortgage agents, people actively looking for mortgage brokers. We need to get in front of those people first on Google. So we put together a plan that would focus first on Google. Social media plays a part in it. There's awareness for it. But to me, it's about, does marketing work? Well, like, what are we doing? Are we doing TikTok out of the blue and not being found on Google? Are we doing some of the foundational stuff first? So to me, it's all about like what everybody said. Phil, lastly here about like, we have to make sure we're doing the right thing.
All right. So I think we're going to begin our Q&A. I don't see any questions right now in the chat, but if you have any, I would recommend putting that in there now. But we did get actually a couple of questions prior to this webinar from our members. So the first one was, although my company has a substantial amount of followers, we are finding our social media posts to be engaging less than 5% of our followers. How do we get our followers to get more engaged? And we're going to start with Phillip for this one.
Again, it's that sponsored ad. If you're finding that people aren't working, excuse me, if people aren't engaging with your stuff, a real quick way of getting in front of them is put $40 in front of your sponsored ad and playing with the different tools within the metaverse, which is great because you can go down to women who enjoy cooking, or men who enjoy building things, or kids that enjoy going to playgrounds, and you can drop pins to exactly where you want to go, put a very minimal budget behind it, and get in front of those people. Those people are already following you, and those people are following the followers that you are on your page as well. And then plus you can go broader on that. Another way of doing it is, again, just changing up what you're doing. If what you're doing isn't working, then you need to figure out what content is going to work. If you're posting just an infographic every single day, I can almost guarantee you people aren't engaging with your infographic every single day. I personally have a 3-in-1 rule where one post should be salesy, straight up sell. The other post should be kind of an indirect sale, and the other one should be very personal. Well, not very personal, but more of a personal level, like, again, posting your dog. Then things don't get boring. It keeps your feeds looking different because not everybody's visiting your page. They're just scrolling through their feed, because we find ourselves doing it all day. You get sore thumbs just by going through your feed and seeing what's there. And if see, Sophie's got it too. And when you go through that, if you're posting something that's going to be engaging to your audience, people are going to engage with it. And it also goes back to that, are you engaging with the other people? Are you engaging more than 5%? Are you going above and beyond, engaging with everybody that's on your list? If you are, you're probably going to see much more results than just what the 5% are. It's a giver's game mentality. If you're not putting it out there and putting yourself out there and showing that you care about your community, people aren't going to respond back just on your social presence either.
All right, Matt.
For the record, I do see a bunch of questions in the Q&A here.
Yeah, I just realized that now. It's in a different place than I thought it was.
No
So
worries. I just
everybody.
I want those people smashing their keyboards in frustration that they weren't being here. I don't want to just repeat some of the things Phil said, but the easiest way to get some more engagement and reach on those posts is those boosted posts or sponsored posts, and doing some of that ad targeting specifically. Like you mentioned, Facebook's making it harder for those organic posts to be found. To maybe build on what I said last time, my first question would be like, why do I care that much about the engagement? What are we trying to achieve from it? Like, do I want to be out there talking to all of my followers? I don't really care. I don't really want that. Me personally, I want people to know what I do. I want them to know the services that I offer. They might see it now. They're not maybe going to see the feed every single day. There's going to be new followers. It's all dependent on the situation, which is super challenging for everyone listening, because there's 1,000 thoughts that we've all just mentioned, and it's really challenging. And it's all about, again, finding the right people that you're going to be able to trust, that can provide like what you believe to be trustworthy information and guide you to that business growth. But I'd ask why, not to be a pain or a jerk, but like, why do I care so much about the engagement? I'm concerned about maybe other things.
All right, Sophie.
Okay, well, the way I'd answer that question is, like I was saying before, I do that once a month review as to what's working and what's not. So as Matt said, I mean, and Phil, I'd have to look at it to see what you're doing. But in general, when I see things aren't working, it's usually maybe not an infographic, but something that's like a flyer or an infographic that isn't very personal. And you haven't tagged anyone, probably. Maybe you haven't used a personalized video either. So I used to use a 3-to-1 rule and a 5-to-1 rule. But as Phil said, I would think about trying to do kind of a cadence in your posts, where perhaps you do a before and after, once a week. Perhaps you do a throwback Thursday on when you were a little baby and you first had your first hammer in your hand. I'm just making this up. Or if you're a family run business, I know a lot of the contractors I see my fiance working with, they're in his trades, they're family run companies. So bring in the family. People love family run companies. People respond to those. Anytime I do a Harley Farm post about the family or about a family birthday, we get engagement on those posts. And then what happens, as Phil said, when you do a post about your services, your product, people will more likely see it than if you didn't do that personal type of post. So you want to do maybe, one personal post, one tip, perhaps a tip on something that you're talking about, and then some services, but not services as this is what I sell. I think Matt said it best earlier. What is your solution? What is your solution? What do you feel? What problem are you solving? So if you're talking in terms of what problems you're solving for your clients, they won't really feel like you're selling as much as you're solving. That in itself is a big difference. So I think jokes, people love jokes. I try to do turkey jokes over Thanksgiving for Harley Farms as well. Trying to behind the scenes. People love behind the scenes. How do you get ready? How do you do a board count if you're doing drywall? You can tell my fiance is a drywaller. I know how to board count, and I can actually take apart a kitchen, a bathroom. I know how to go in and use a crowbar now. These are things I did not know I was going to have skills in myself. But to Matthew's point, I can do this stuff now. I didn't want to, but anyways, so what is behind the scenes? There's so much involved getting ready for whatever each of you do for a living. People would be interested in that, I think, too. And you're going to repurpose that content. You create a little video, you capture the content, and you can repurpose that, maybe a YouTube channel, because that's very SEO friendly, search engine optimization, when people find you, maybe on your Google listing. I saw a question in the chat there was, what kind of posts did you mean on your Google listing? The kind of posts on your Google listing is not walking your dog posts. It's posts where you about your service and product. So it's really a little more tactical. That's where you can actually put flyer kind of posts on your Google listing. They don't have to be as personal. There's two parts of the Google listing. One where you're creating photos of the team, photos of your work. So your team should be personal, they're real. The work should be real, but your posts where you're posting things, think of the keywords people are searching for on Google and have your posts kind of answer those questions. So it'll be, you know, drywaller, blank, blank, blank. So, but back to your question as to how would you increase your engagement? It's look to see people that are like you and where your target market is, obviously, and then go to those platforms and search for companies like you and see which types of posts are getting likes and comments. And are they the kind of likes and comments you want? To Matt's point, why do you want them? Because you want future clients. So, and then how do you emulate that yourself authentically? You have a value add that you probably haven't even realized. It could be your family run company. It could be the way maybe you approach your business. It could be maybe your own education. There's so much about you that you can put out there that will help with your engagement.
All right. So I'm going to go to the actual questions from the live chat now. So the first one we had was, how would you suggest increasing the social interactions within your social posts? There's one thing about putting the personality behind your posts, but how can we get people to engage in the conversation? And I think, who is up next? Here, I'll have Matt go first.
I was going to say Phil is definitely up next, but
Okay.
I honestly, I don't want to say not answer, but like I feel like we kind of answered this a little bit, I hope.
Yeah.
But I do think like there's different ways to do this. So we all kind of spoke about like engaging with maybe some more personal stuff. We talked about hashtags. We talked about, I asked, why do we care about engagement? All those different factors. I will say, if we have not answered that, please tell me I'm wrong and type it again in the questions.
All right, Phillip.
Yeah, like Matt said, we've covered a lot of that. Another great way of doing getting engagement is surveys. If you can put surveys in your stories, there's a lot of great apps or web pages and stuff that you can get survey apps from, and make them kind of quick and simple, easy to answer, but yet questions that people want to answer and engage on. If you can put a survey up there that is going to get engagement, people are going to share it, people are going to answer it. And there's also ways of getting those surveys, so you can get an email list from them. So once they go over to the third party survey company that you're using, you can get their information and actually get them on an email list as well. So surveys are a fantastic way of getting more engagement.
All right, Sofie, any last comments?
Well, to Phil's point, the something we haven't talked about, but getting your email list is critical. And if you can find a way that you can use a survey to ask a question that they want the answers to, and they're filling in the survey with their email, or somehow you've put them into some sort of contest that they're giving you their email to answer the survey, that's critical, because then perhaps you're going to do a newsletter on a quarterly basis, which highlights some of your, what I like to do with newsletters for my clients is the best posts we've done over the last quarter. I'll put those into a newsletter, because those people who are reading their emails are often different than those people that might have seen your social media posts, or it's reconfirming your social media posts. But yeah, that's a big one, is getting emails from your clients effectively. Every time with Kawarthas TV and stereo, even, I know it's a different industry, when we send out newsletters, and we have, I know it's online, it's retail, it's very different, but we send a coupon code, we really increase the sales of that type of product, whatever the coupon code is for. But and I know in your industry, I know from my fiance, they still use faxes, which surprised the heck out of me. And they actually still use email quite a bit back and forth. So gathering emails is a good idea, but that doesn't answer the question, does it? Because we
Right. Just kind of going through this now and making sure we're going to answer something I haven't really talked about. Actually, it's an interesting one. From the perspective of a home builder, what would you see as the most valuable marketing tool? All right, there. Yeah, Matt can start because he kind of answered that and I'll read in the chat. But
I didn't know everyone was seeing that. Sorry, but I'm all fired up with all these questions. So, like, I've worked with a bunch of home builders before, custom home builders, et cetera, across Ontario. I don't want to seem like I'm like the getting found on Google SEO guy. I like to think I'm well-rounded strategically with everything. I'm not going to just do one thing for you. However, I do think it's critical that we get found on Google, because this is where people are going to search for things. And I know for a fact that people are going to Google looking for custom home builder, etc. There's a bunch of different variations of those keywords. I've worked with a small handful of them to help them get found for a lot of those keywords. The grand scheme of things, like, people are going to interact with our brand multiple times. The stat changes. And again, you can search for a stat and you'll find the number that you want. But I remember 100,000 years ago, Google told me it was 12 times they interact with your brand before they reach out. In some cases, that makes sense. It makes sense for marketing. It makes sense for home builders. You have to build that trust. People have to go through that journey. In other cases, it makes no sense. My toilet's overflowing. I'm calling the first plumber that I have. If I've got mice in my attic, I'm calling the first exterminator that I have. What all of this means is, like, we do need to hit every single channel, or as many channels as humanly possible, because of that convenience, and we don't know how people are going to see us and reach out. However, like, my mentor used to joke in meetings with accounts that, like, I've never met a client with an unlimited budget, and maybe today is my day. And I'll use that line quite often, but, like, we have to be careful with our resources. And yes, we have to be critical about how we're spending our dollars and figuring out what's the best use of our dollars. Of those 12 interactions, where do we think it's going to start? Where do we think we can get the biggest return? It would be on Google. Final answer.
yeah. All right, Sofie.
Managing your reputation is really important. So there are places on the different platforms you're on, like Google, your Google listing, where they have something called reviews. So what I would do, one of the biggest things I would do is, so once they found you, like Matt said, they're going to look to see if you have any reviews. So say they find you and they find your competitor, and your competitor has 5 or 10, 5 out of 5 reviews, and you have none. What do you think is going to happen, right? So biggest thing I do with all my clients is first thing we do is, or anyone I talk to over a coffee, is I suggest to them that they, pimp up their Google review in a nice way. I'm not sure if that was politically correct. Sorry. And then what we do is we ask them to get reviews. So think of some of your favorite clients who you've done work with, and then your Google listing gives you a link you can send them. And in that link, they just click on it and they fill it out, and it automatically becomes a review on your Google listing. That's a big help. So if one piece of advice I can give you is manage your digital identity and your reputation, managing your digital reputation. And I have a whole blog on it somewhere. I'm trying to remember a video on it. I think it's a year old, but it's still, I should update it. And it's saying that if your target audience happens to be on Facebook, there are reviews on Facebook as well. But for sure, you want to manage your Google reviews. That would be my piece of advice.
All right, Phillip.
Google's fantastic. I'm not going to take away from that. But I'm going to say, just personally from one of my clients alone, a painting company, Facebook and Instagram is a fantastic place. Not only does it showcase your work if you're using proper photos, which I go and make sure my clients have, but Facebook is one of those communities where you got Sally Ann looking for a painter, and she's going to put it in the 6 groups that she's got going on locally in Peterborough, and who's the best painter. And if you have a solid social presence and solid Facebook reviews and all that, it's going to work, because all it is a simple Jolly Painters, and they can tag it as soon as they start typing at Jolly Painters, it's coming up. And my client alone, he gets, I would say he's getting 5 or 6 leads a week for inquiries of doing quotes just from Facebook and Instagram alone. And he gets compliments all the time. I am pushing him into Google SEO, because he's not even, if you were to look up painters right now in Peterborough, his name doesn't even come up. But I know for a fact that he's probably one of the busiest painters in town right now. And I see it just coming through our analytics on Facebook and Instagram. Who's good painter, who can come out and do this right now? And then 5 or 6 people are commenting Jolly Painters, Jolly Painters, Jolly Painters, Jolly Painters. And then it works wonders just to have that solid presence. And then when they go over to the Facebook or Instagram page, they can see their work, they can see their consistency, they can see the reviews in Facebook. And don't be afraid to ask for those reviews either. As soon as you're done a project and you know the client's happy, that's the freshest. Hey, would you mind going over to Google right now and writing me a great review, and then maybe copy and paste it over to Facebook? Usually they won't do both, because that takes too much time. But as long as you start with Google, that's where I start with the reviews, and then you can get the reviews going. But don't be shy with those reviews. If you can see a client is happy, don't be afraid to ask them for it, and don't be afraid to ask it again when you do that follow up. You do that. Yeah, you do another 1 week follow up. Say everything's still fine with that project we just completed, and they go, yeah, we're completely happy with it. Hey, would you mind putting that into a review? That'd be great.
And what you can do is you can have the link as a, you can just text message them the link too. So if you copy it, you can just text message it to them while you're talking to them, because otherwise they may forget later. I find that the best.
Make it as simple as possible.
Back to Matt. Yeah. Convenience, convenience, convenience.
Yeah.
All right. So we are getting very close to 11. So I am going to probably ask one more question and try to answer as fast as possible. Dave, Hope, I do see you asking questions. However, hopefully they answered these already, like throughout the other conversations. But one I wanted to bring up was, we have just started social media, new business here. How long do you think we should create posts and content before we start paying for Facebook and Google ads? Does Facebook care if there's only a handful of posts before we start paying for ads?
I don't think they should wait. Yeah, I don't see why they would wait. I think they should have, I think that they're going to have a few up there that kind of paints a picture of who they are, what they sell, what their value is. Those should be maybe their first 3 posts. So then when someone does see an ad, and I wouldn't say necessarily ads. I like to boost posts personally, but anyways, that's another conversation. I don't see why they would wait. But Phil or Matt, do you think they should boost getting more likes to their page maybe at this point?
Yeah, getting a more solid following behind your social platforms is obviously going to be great. Not necessarily do you have to wait. I would suggest, putting 4 or 5 ads out there and seeing what you like best. Like what is sending that message that you're trying to portray the best? Because if you put an ad out there and and you're just getting used to Facebook or Instagram and graphic design or Canva or whatever you're using, and it may not be the prettiest ad in the world, you may want to just kind of toy with it and see what looks and works best for you. Because if you only have 30, 40 followers just starting out as a new business, you may not see the results organically anyway. But no, you don't need to wait. Facebook ads are super cheap, so you can kind of play around and not feel like you're getting, hurt financially by messing with your budget. And if you are putting $100 budget on something and it's not working in the first week, or not even a week, 3-4 days, you're not seeing any impressions or reach or click-throughs to your website, pause it, go and readjust it, figure out where you're going with it. Yeah, but you don't need to wait. Like, just jump right in head first. It's a free platform to use until you start paying for ads, but it is free. You just jump right in and start adapting to what messages you want to put out there.
Yeah, like the cool thing with digital is, like Phil said, if you're unhappy after 3 or 4 days, you can turn it off. I'm not as familiar with traditional. But if you got a billboard up there that could be sitting there for another 30 days, however long that contract was, newspaper ads, etc. Digital, like, you can make those pivots, as Phil said, also very quickly, and make those decisions. You can turn things on or off right away. There should not be any sort of relation between if you pay for ads, should your social profile be looked upon in better light from that platform. Like, Facebook's not going to be like all excited about your organic profile because you paid for ads. There should not be that relation. I'll clarify that. But then also too, with like the spend, you can spend as soon as possible. It's entirely up to you. I'd recommend, if it made sense, to do it sooner rather than later. The algorithms are set up to take and spend your money though. So be prepared on that. It's not just going to sit there dormant.
All right, that looks to be all the time we have for today. If you have any other questions that did not get answered during the session, feel free to either email any of our panelists, or you can email me directly, chanel@pkhba.com. So thank you to everyone who attended. Thank you to the Chamber for partnering with us. And thank you to our marketing panelists. Your thoughts have been very insightful, and hopefully people learned a thing or two about marketing. Again, this will be on our YouTube channel later today, and the link can be found in the chat. And
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just letting everyone know, we have a couple events coming up. We do have our October dinner meeting, Peterborough Pete's Night, our AGM, and of course, our Christmas charity auction for Habitat for Humanity. Feel free to email me at chanel@pkhba.com if you'd like to attend any of these events. And the winner of Sophie's amazing prize would be Emily from Gilbert and Burke, who asked
I will
most questions.
reach out to you, Emily. Thank you. I'm glad you knew what I was doing, and I wasn't just some, yeah. It was great being on the panel with you guys, Phil and Matt. You guys are true professionals. I really enjoyed that.
Same. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That means a lot, Sophie. Thanks so much. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye,
Take care,
everybody.
everyone.
Take care.